This is the top 5 best class setups in Black Ops 6 after the updates, so they already have very little recoil, so I'm going to accommodate with that. We're going to start out with the XM4, and this, I'm also going to give you guys the gunfighter versions for each of them. We're going to start out with the Kepler Microflex. This is kind of the best thing you can have on there. Next is the suppressor, unless you want to have compensator, will give you even less recoil. Next, we're going to put on the reinforced barrel. Now, some people have been saying you actually don't even need a barrel. I think reinforced barrel is actually the best attachment barrel-wise, but if you don't want to use that, completely up to you. You can use something else. For example, you can use an underbarrel like the vertical foregrip. But I put on extended mag 2. That's just me. Now, if you're playing sweats, you most likely want to use extended mag 1 so you don't have these kinds of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. But extended mag 1 to give you 45 bullets. So pick and choose. If your lobby isn't that sweaty, you can use extended mag 2. And then I put on the buffer weight stock. So once you put that on there, it's a 5 attachment version right here. This thing is insanely good. Even at long range, it gets the job done. Does not have much recoil. Now, if you want to use the gunfighter version, you're going to throw on the vertical foregrip. Next, for the rear grip, you can put on quick draw. I don't recommend ergonomic grip just because this is an SMG. You can use commando or you can use quick draw. Since this is an AR, I would recommend using quick draw. And then for the fire mods, I would say you can use rapid fire. I don't recommend 3-round burst. I don't even think I unlocked this. But rapid fire is actually pretty good, honestly, for multiplayer. For Warzone, I wouldn't say that, but for multiplayer, you can use rapid fire with the combination of all of these. And then you go into the firing range and you'll just see how lethal this is. It's absolutely insane. Even at long range, it's basically perfect. But honestly, for the most part, I'm just using the 5 attachments. So taking that off, and this is what I'll be using typically. So next, we're going to the PP919. This is by far the most perfect SMG, and I would say perfect weapon for not having to use gunfighter. But if you want to use gunfighter, completely up to you. So we're going to start out with the suppressor. If you want to use compensator, completely up to you. I just haven't seen anybody use compensator for this weapon. Next, we're going with the reinforced barrel. You can use really anything you want to. I just like using reinforced barrel for this SMG in particular. I have no magazine. Ergonomic grip because this is an SMG, so it helps with slide to fire, dive to fire, and aim down sight speed. If you don't have this, you can use quick draw and commando grip until you get this. These are just good alternatives until you have this, though. And then we put on no stock for hip fire movement speed, and strafing movement speed. I think this is one of the best choices next to the balanced stock. I mean, balanced stock is still amazing, don't get me wrong, but I just think that no stock is better. And then I put on rapid fire. Now, rapid fire for this is pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie to you. For the most part, I've been using the macro over pressured rounds, but I think rapid fire actually gets the job done pretty well, especially considering this is multiplayer and not Warzone. So you're not going to get that damage reduction. So just showing you guys, this thing is absolutely amazing. Short to medium range, really gets the job done incredibly well. And especially with the visual recoil, I mean, it's just, you can't really beat it. But if you go into gunfighter, I guess you can put on the Kepler Microflex. For the magazine, you can put extended mag 1, or you can put on fast mag, completely up to you, whichever one you want to. After that, you can put on the laser if you want to. I guess you go with target laser. And after that, go into the firing range. This is what you're going to be dealing with. It's a very interesting weapon, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think that it needs a gunfighter. I would go without it. I just don't think that it's beneficial. So this is what you would be using, the 5 attachments right here, and get the job done perfectly. But after that, we're going to go to the Saug. This Saug is absolutely incredible. I think that you're going to see this a whole lot more just because it's an amazing weapon. So this is the gunfighter version. I guess I already have it set up. We're starting with suppressor unless you want to use compensator. Both are really good, completely up to you, whether the enemy you're facing is incredibly good or not as good. Next, we're going with the reinforced barrel once again. After this, you're going with the vertical foregrip. I still think this is the best choice. Some people like using ranger foregrip so they can get that additional sprinting movement speed. If you want that, completely fine. I just like using the vertical foregrip, especially with everything else added onto it. I have the extended mag 1. I don't think you need anything beyond that, in my opinion. Ergonomic grip. I told you guys the reason. The pros are just too good to actually ignore. Then you're going to put on the balanced stock because of how good the pros are. Now, this is one of those reasons. I mean, light stock is very good, don't get me wrong. It gets the job done, but balanced stock is just all of that plus some more. So I would recommend balanced stock for this SMG. Target laser, just because you can throw it on there. And then the recoil springs, I don't really recommend the rapid fire. And just show you guys how useful this thing is. And remember, you basically get no visual recoil. This is absolutely busted. So this is something you're gonna have a whole lot of fun with. Now, if you don't want to use gunfighter, you can take off The target laser, you could take off most likely, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can take off the balance stock, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess you can take off the recoil springs. Going into the firing range, you're not going to see that much of a difference. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a difference. Like you see a little bit of a sway now, but it's still very good. It still gets the job done. So this is what you're going to want to run on there if you're not going to run gunfighter, and this is just going to be fantastic. But after that, we're going to go with the Jackal PDW because this is what you're most likely going to see the most of in your lobbies. You're going to throw on the suppressor or the compensator, depending on the enemies you're playing against. You can use ported compensator if you want to. Just know the compensator is going to give you the most bang for your buck, especially in regards to recoil control. Reinforced barrel once again, unless you don't want to run a barrel. Vertical foregrip, unless you want to run ranger foregrip, completely up to you. I think these options are both fantastic. Extended mag 1, unless you want to use fast mag 1. I've not seen a single person use fast mag 1 though. Ergonomic grip for the pros. Now, if you're going to use a gunfighter version, I'll show you guys what to put on that, but this is what you're going to be experiencing if you use this version. It's fantastic. As you guys see, the recoil control is amazing. But if you're going to use gunfighter, what you're going to do is there's two things. You can go balance stock or you can go with no stock. I would say most likely balance stock is the better option. You don't really need a laser, but if you want to put a laser on, completely up to you. I would say more so put an optic on if you wanted to put something else on. So you can put the Kepler Microflex. And then for the fire mods, this is up to you. You can either put on rapid fire, recoil springs, or overpressured. I think for the sake of it, I'll just go at recoil springs. Then we get into the firing range. And this is what you're going to be dealing with. It's absolutely amazing. Gets the job done very easily. So this is absolutely what I like to use. But I mean, I typically only use the 5 attachments because this is more useful to me. After that, we have one more, and that is the KRIG C. The KRIG C is absolutely busted. I would argue the AMES is actually amazing too, but the KRIG C is just more powerful, and that's why I'm talking about this one right now. So we're going to start out with the Kepler Microflex. I don't think that people are going to be using anything other than this, in my opinion. Next, we're going to use the compensator. You can use a suppressor, don't get me wrong. This just has no recoil. This setup right here in particular has 0 recoil. So I'm going to show you, and you can be the judge if you want to use suppressor or compensator. We're going to use the gain twist barrel. So we're basically going to be setting it up how we set up the AMES, put on the vertical foregrip, and then put on the extended mag 1. If you don't want extended mag, you can throw something else on, completely up to you. But if we're using the gunfighter version, I'll show you the alternative for that. Just show you guys, this thing literally does not move. It's kind of ridiculous. And that's me not holding down my thumbstick. So if we go to the suppressor version, it does bounce a little bit more. I'm gonna have to hold my thumbstick down a little bit, but it doesn't really move that much. So you guys see, like that bounce that you see is what you're most likely gonna get. So if you go gunfighter for the rear grip, put on quick draw grip. For the stock, you can put on balance stock because that's gonna be the most useful. And for the fire mods, you can put on rapid fire. I just don't have it unlocked. So for the sake of it, we're just gonna go recoil springs. Go into the firing range. This thing is absolutely incredible. Like, I honestly don't know what else I could use instead of this, because these things are honestly just elite together.